Hi there. Thanks for joining me today. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Catherine. I create journals out of old books and make them into, I think, cool-looking books. This was completely blue book of poetry, a book of American verse at one point, and now I think it's really cool-looking. This journal, unusually, is going to be for me. It's not going in my Etsy shop. This is mine. But as ever, not to be repetitive, but I like to hope there's someone new out there today. I simply turn on my camera and invite you in to join me as I work for 30 minutes on the days when I can get my camera turned on, either remember to turn it on or I'm in the mood. Sometimes I find it easier to just work without it going, but most days it really makes me feel like you're all here with me while I work. It's not lonely in my studio, but I do find talking to you makes it feel like you're here. And I'm still having trouble with my microphone. I ordered a new one because the Samsung guy said that I need a wireless microphone now, that my phone will no longer accept a wired microphone. So in the meantime, I'm using the earbuds and the microphone that's on my earbuds. And I'll deal with the wireless microphone later. Hopefully it's just something I've done. I'm not very tech savvy. So I'm hoping that someone helpful at Samsung, because that's what I have, I'm hoping they can walk me through it and we can get this new wireless microphone working. I'm not going to let it get me down because I'm recording today. It's Friday and it's St. Patrick's Day. So Erin go bragh and sláinte and all that. Good luck to you. Everyone's Irish on St. Patrick's Day. But my family actually is, and so is my husband's. I'm Irish on my mother's side. I am English on my father's side, but on my mother's side, her mother and her father came from Irish stock, who came over here during the Great Hunger, over here to Canada to escape and hopefully find a better life for their families. So I'm grateful for their bravery sailing in those coffin ships. So I've been listening to Irish music all day. My husband's home and he's got it going, and it's hard not to be happy when you're listening to traditional Irish music. And it reminded me of a poem, and I'm sure you've heard it before. But it says, "May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. And may the Lord hold you in the palm of his hand." And then if you're one of the cheeky Irish, you also know to end it with, "And may you be in heaven 5 minutes before the devil knows you're dead." I have a feeling for me I'm going to need that last line. Anyhow, let's get to work on this book. I will once again sing the marvelous praises of my new book press that I treated myself to. And if any of you have a wish list or a honey wish list for, say you've got a hubby who is like mine, who says, "I don't know what to get you," my first answer is always, "You don't need to get me anything. I'm the richest woman in the world." And then he'll say, "No, I can't not get you something." And so if you've got someone in your life like that and you would like to treat yourself, I got mine on Amazon. I just typed in paper press and up it came. And it was it wasn't cheap, but it wasn't as expensive as the antique ones that I've seen, the beautiful antique ones. But I've got to say, in its defense, it's very easy to work. I can turn the handle with one finger and it pushes down and it will apply 3,600 pounds of pressure onto my signatures. And so these already were in the press, but I've since been working on them, so they were puffed up again, and in they went to the press again last night. And I'm going to do a bit more work. I'm going to come in close. I may see if I can go out a little bit. There we go. And do a little bit more work in here. I am taking very strong inspiration from Nik the Booksmith's book she did a long, long time ago. It's on her channel somewhere. You'll have to go hunting for it. It's a journal she created where she imagined it was a printer's sample book. And that's what made me think I want a book like that for myself, to remind me of interesting things I can simply do with a page as opposed to ephemera things. I have another journal that I have for ephemera ideas, like tuck spots and tags and little fun, open it up and, oh, isn't that, little secret spots. I found that, I'll try and put the link down below. I'll try and remember to put the link down below. But I found that this particular book, that journal that Nik created, her pages I found very inspiring because it was a really nice blend of full blank tea-dyed paper, but also mostly blank pages that still had something interesting that would catch your eye. Now hers had a full theme because she imagined it was a supplier's book with samples for printers, bookbinders. So, as ever, it's a wonderful flip through to watch, and I'm sure it will inspire you as well. So that's why I give credit where credit is due, and it is due to Nik, and that is why some things will almost seem like, hold on, she stole that from Nik. This type of work, when we give credit where credit is due, is quite acceptable in the art world, so long as you give credit to the original person who thought of it and you do a little bit of a twist to make it your own a bit, and don't claim it as, look what I thought of. I didn't think of most of this. Wonderful Nik thought of what I've been doing with these pages. And but again, my twist, she had a little quote on the first page. She calls it a digital printing. So it looks like a stamp did it, but she printed it off her computer, I guess before or after she tea-dyed the paper. I'm not sure. I already had this folded and pressed, so I didn't want to try and reprint onto this. So I simply put a quote that I like onto it, and I couldn't find the author to this. I subscribe to several uplifting quote accounts on Instagram, and like I said, I try and keep one a day for me. And this particular one came up one day on my Echo screen, and I loved this one because I need to be reminded of this constantly. What you create does not have to be perfect, and it's usually better if it's not perfect, and I have to remind myself of that. So I've gone through and done some things. She did some stamping on her next page. So see what I mean? I don't want to claim that. Oh, look what I did. Well, Nik was a marvelous inspiration for this, and I highly recommend. You will learn a lot if you watch every single video on her channel. She had some interesting black and white pages that had to do with bookbinding. So I've simply used some pages out of old books. This one's out of an old children's reader. This one's out of the first book, Experiment No.1. So it's a book of poetry, a page of poetry. It's a folio out of that book. Those pages were nicer than the 1937 book that I ended up using when I recreated it and Experiment No.2. So I decided to just leave them be rather than using folios from the text block of Experiment No.2. But then she had a page where she had a sample of glassine, and she actually had the original label. And I didn't have a label for glassine, a box of glassine. So I just, you make do with what you got. Well, I have Tim Holtz. I have the Tim Holtz stamp collection that has this in it. So I put it there. So you'll recognize that. And then some of it is just simply blank pages. And then she made a raggedy. I don't usually make raggedy's for my journals. What I usually do is a play on her raggedy's. I usually will make a journaling board, and I'll make one side of it raggedy. And so that's my little twist on her raggedy's, because and I will be doing that with this for some other journal. I won't be putting it into this one. This will go into a journal that will eventually sell in my Etsy shop. But I will make the side of this look like it makes your book look like you've got all kinds of papers hanging out of it that you've just stuffed in a book. And it's fun. And she, as far as I know, Nik's the one who thought that idea up. The woman has quite an inspired mind. So this, I don't make raggedy's, I make raggedy journaling boards. Because her raggedy's usually involve some kind of a tuck spot or an envelope. And but this is what her raggedy looked like on the front. She used, oh, my mind is drawing a blank. This kind of paper. Let's call it this kind of paper for now, shall we? Until my brain, the electricity goes around and finds the name of this paper. But she had the holes down at the bottom. She had a little piece wrapped around with some stamping. She had a I was going to say bobby pin. Oh, the hairdresser in me, you'll never keep her quiet. She had a paper clip holding an envelope on the back of her raggedy. So I simply put the envelope on the back of this page. But she also had, an oval label with Brad's. Oh, that's going to drive me crazy. And if you're interested, this lovely, whatever it's called, paper, marbled paper, there it is. Thank you, brain electricity. You found it in the computer of my brain. I got it from Tailor Made Creations Etsy shop, Lorna Taylor's shop. She has a digital. So this is a digital. I used it for me, though. And sometimes I will use them in my books because they're just beautiful, these digitals that Lorna scanned. And you can go over to her Etsy shop. I'll try and post the link below. And if not, look for it in Etsy. You'll find it. She's got all kinds of goodies over there. The woman is mega talented. And then again, just lots of interesting, again, Nik had book making reprints. Like she went to the Library of Congress kind of thing where it's all copyright free. So I just grabbed a page out of my shorthand book. I got this out of a book that Nancy gave me. I forget the name of it now. I'm looking at it on my shelf, but I can't read it because my eyes aren't that good and I'd have to get up and go get it. So I put the whole folio in because I thought this would make a great tuck spot. And I like that it's pink, and so it catches your eye. And again, ledger paper with the numbers. Love ledger paper, legitimate ledger paper with the numbers. Sometimes I will take ledger paper that has no numbers and I'll just put some numbers at the top. But in this case, that's the real deal. And I had fun with that. I think today's probably going to end up being a tour. Nik did more digital stamping, she calls it. And so I did real stamping on this side. And this is a tip out. She didn't have it on a tip out. She just had it on a plain page. She didn't have another children's book page, but I wanted it because this is my book and it's my play on it. Nik loves using these ends from steno books, steno papers. And I must confess, I think they're a lot of fun too. So I had a little bit of leftover from when I did this. So I used it up over here. And I tied on a tag with a Tim Holtz stamp on it and another Tim Holtz label. And now here's where I hope whoever did the tutorial can let me know, because someone had the great idea of using tea-dyed old papers that still have words and stuff on them and making labels out of them. And that's what I've done there. I'm wanting to think that it is Jessica Rapp who had that, but I cannot say for certain that it was Jessica who did that tutorial, but my gut is telling me that I think it was Jessica. Anyhow, I couldn't not put a pocket in, so I created a pocket out of just a dictionary page myself, and tucked in a little bit of tea-dyed paper for my journals, because I prefer to focus on places to write. I find I'm doing less and less pretty tags, and more and more often you'll find, at least with my journals, they'll arrive with tea-dyed paper in the pockets. And that's certainly what go into mine, but I added a little bit of ephemera, fussy cut butterfly, and this is from, I think it's from a sample box I received from your creative studio, I think. And I sewed that in, so it's on this side, and that makes for some fun to look at over there. And a little, again, I couldn't do the digital stamping, so I did some regular stamping, and I think I did pretty well, because usually I botch my stamping pretty royally. A little bit more stamping just on that page. She didn't have anything like this. I felt like this. This was from a little offcut from that 1908 print from the Sears catalog, the 1908 Sears reprint catalog. So I smeared some glue stick down, but erratically, like that, and then I put it on there, And then you wait till it's really, really dry for sure, and you peel away whatever didn't get glued down, and you get this really neat look. And I thought that's kind of a fun thing to be able to do, to leave the rest of the page blank. This was at the top, so you'll see it actually fits there, but I couldn't throw it away because it says Mother's, so it's going to go back in somewhere. A little more regular stamping, because no digital stamping. Typewriter paper from a typing book that Alice was able to find for me when we went book hunting at an antique shop one day. Just for some fun, I tore the page and put some faux cellophane tape on it, and I accidentally tore both sides of the folio, so I had to do it on both sides. Oh well. Some more of that journaling, or that ledger paper. I do this sometimes on tea-dyed paper. I do this just to add a little bit of variety. Let me show you how I do it. I'm reaching. Sorry. Oh, I've got my green overalls on for St. Paddy's Day. And my necklace of the day, I'm not sure it'll show, is my gold harp that I bought in Killarney, Ireland when we were there. I save the front and back covers of steno pads, and I use it like a stencil, and then it looks like it stained that way when it was soaking in the pan of tea. So put that in the back of your head. This page is a ledger book that Alice gave me quite a few pages out of from the day we went traipsing around, Alice, Nancy, and I. That was a fun day. And she found a ledger book, and I got the other ledger book. I think Nancy found the books, and Alice and I both said, I'll have one. And then we shared. And Alice, I still have yours that I'm going to mail to you. The box is on my table. I haven't forgotten. Anyhow, just so you know. Anyhow, it was too big for the book, so I literally cut it in half, but then I lengthened it in a fun way and just did some sewing. I Frankensteined it, and I like how that turned out. And again, I used some more of the paper with the holes and a little more stamping on offcut. I had no 8.5 by 11 tea-dyed paper left, so I had to get into my 8.5 by 11 tea-dyed legal paper, which is why I have so many offcuts this size for this book. And it turned out to be fine. This is from that new book that I found the other day when I was thrifting on welding, that's all typing. And I just love it because it's got some pictures on it, and it's also the other side of every single page is blank, so it's awesome. And then another folio from out of the original Experiment No.1 book, which I didn't intend to be going through all these pages, but I guess it explains what I'm working towards. Little Beatrix Potter. This Beatrix Potter, these were the pages that got glued in. So you know how the outside of each signature is the one that will get glued, will get glue on the back, and they get ruined when you rip them out. So I just used good old fabric to make the hinge, and I like how that looks. And it's a really not very bulky way to join two pieces of paper together. It creates a neat look. This page of paper tea-dyed, I don't know, found it thrifting somewhere, but I just thought it's a Denison label up here, and that little orange tummy happened to be the exact color as this orange thing. I think this was in Happy Mail or a Happy Gift. When I say that the difference between Happy Mail and a Happy Gift for me is a Happy Gift is literally handed to me, which is usually Nancy, and now sometimes it's Alice too. Alice brought me some lovely things the day we went out traipsing around southern Ontario. And I believe that's where that came from, I think. Again, some regular stamping that I think I did really well with on the paper. That was, if you recall, remember I was having a stupor of thought as to who came up with this idea for letting your tea-dyed paper dry while it was in a wrinkled ball, and it's Witchcraft Do You Do. So again, here's the other side of there. It would have gone there. So it's just there. It might not stay there. I may move it from an old marching band music book. They're a different size so that they can go into the holder so you can march. I'm not sure why that's not opening, but that's a folio. Maybe I've got it in the wrong way. No, I don't. This is Amazon packing paper. Let's see what's in 8. There are 9 signatures that are going in. Some more offcuts of the tea-dyed paper. This one is really thin paper from that book I have of the complete works of Shakespeare. So the paper is really thin the way dictionary and Bible paper is. So I simply folded the page in half and glued it together so that it's a little tougher. But then it wasn't quite wide enough, so I had to trim the ledger paper, the genuine ledger paper that Alice had given me. And this was part of the trimmings off that ledger paper. So in order to bring it out to the closer to the edge, I Frankensteined it. And that gives some writing room. You could actually just write the whole space there. That thread wouldn't get in the way. It wouldn't interfere with being able to read what you're writing. Again, this is real ledger paper. This was from Kelly, and it is actually a pocket. So I put it on that one because there's printing on it, and those are the best pages to use for your collaging and pockets. Here is, let me move this over, a page where I made use of an offcut from, of course, Edith, our beloved Edith. I can't make a journal for myself and not put Edith in it. And in order to make it full size, I Frankensteined a vintage sewing book. And this book had a chapter in it on how to make covers for your furniture. So that's what this page is. But the way I Frankensteined it is actually also a tuck spot. So, so on this side it's a tuck spot. And then here, just to give another offcut, but to give it a little bit of interest, I had these little square collaging squares from Your Creative Studio, again with the gift, the sample box they sent me. So I tore it, the edge, inked it, and made a little tab, and I think that looks kind of cool there. and gives it a little bit more to look at. So I'm obviously not done with this book. This is genuine old vintage composition paper, but very thin and very crinkly, so I glued two pieces together. They were offcuts, so I glued them together to thicken them up and made a pocket out of it and sewed it in place. Now I believe, because this paper here, the original folio page, is so thin, I didn't want to sew through it this time. So I simply sewed, I faux sewed. I simply sewed through the pocket part so it looks like it was sewed through from this side, because I knew it would be fine now that I glued it together and doubled it. It's strong. And then I glued it in place. You can still see a little bit where the glue is, but collaging will go there. Here's the other half of that page of these. So you can tell how big this book was that Alice found. And I think it was from the 1940s, this ledger book. Just such cool writing. It's going to be lost very soon. That's 1953 there. But the early pages go back into the 40s. Yeah, 54. So these could very well go up into the 40s, 51. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. I'm really, really, really excited about where this book is going. Oh, I've got glue in it. There we go. You can tell I'm not too worried about it because it's just going to be for me. All right, so far that's what I've done. I think what I want to do is, before I start sewing it into a text block, I still have some more of the digital marbled paper. It's this color. I don't want you looking at it thinking that looks funny. I printed it onto tea-dyed paper, so that's why it's a funny color. But I still have more of it, so I think I want to do a flat, mushy sort of paper ruffle and sew it on. So I'm not done yet, because I won't be able to do that once it's sewn into a text block. Or at least it's really hard to sew in a book that's already been put together. But I did want to show you, I prepped the template. Where is it? I treated myself, first of all, to red, because you know I love red and gold together. And this fabric usually has birds on it. You can see the little birdie tail there, and there's a little birdie tummy and foot there. But this, I already had this piece this size, so part of me thought, oh, I should treat myself to a piece where I can actually see a bird. But once these are in place and sewn in place, you wouldn't be able to see that there's a bird there anyhow. I'm the only one who would know it's there, so I'm not going to worry about it. But it's all ready. Oh, top. I write top at the top so that, well, you know, we're dealing with my brain here. So as soon as I finish, I think, doing a bit of paper ruffles, I'm not going to put a laxative ad in, but I did find a very cool ad for piles. And, I mean, come on, that's almost as good as a laxative ad. You're still dealing with delicate issues here. And I'm going to find somewhere to put this in, and probably, again, use up a bit more of the leftover. Yeah, I can't find it. I'm not sure whether I want to put the full skeleton that I found in, or whether I want to save him for someone else for a wonderful wonderful journal for someone else and share the love. And I've got one more piece from that ledger paper that I may find a way to put in. I'm going to get that out now. And I might make a couple of either tabs or flattish frills a la Nancy, because she taught me taught us all how to do a ruffle by simply using the glue stick and pinching your fabric together. Then you can still get a ruffle but still have it quite flat, rather than doing a traditional kind of ruffle like when we make dresses that have, like, oh, all the dresses I made for my daughters when I was sewing when they were little. You know, sewing a ruffled skirt onto a little girl's dress. That's a very different way of creating a ruffle. Now there's a ruffle and there's bulk. So there we go. I had a wonderful time the other day, as I said, when Allie came over. Wowie, I'm still going over how much fun that was. And again, anyone else who happens to live near me, I wish we could get more junk journalers interested in my area so that we could meet up and just have gab sessions and idea sharing sessions, and I'm not sure how much work we'd get done, but we could at least have fun. I'm thinking that my title that's going to go in to here, even though it does, you can see Robin Redbreast, which is the original overall paper that was here. I do think I'm going to put Experiment No.2. I've been calling it that all along. And then this needs to be resealed because I'm happy with how that wax looks now. It looks much older now and much more calmed down. So I guess all we did today was a little tour through my papers. When I put this together for when it gets posted on my channel here for today, if you happen to be watching this, it means I was successful. I'll try and remember to put the link down below for Lorna's Etsy shop, and also for the flip through of Nik's original book printer suppliers journal that she created, that just made me drool and watch it and watch it and watch it and watch it. And I do believe she put a couple of raggeties in that book, and I don't think I will be putting any raggeties in this, or any or even a journal board. But I may create a raggedy illusion here and there, just simply gluing down some things sticking out for when we're done. Because that's fun too, and that's an easy way to do that, to create that look of a book that's stuffed full of fun stuff. So this has ended up with still a nice pinch, which knows that I've got room to put some fabric ruffles on those pages, maybe even put a little bit of lace on those pages. There's no lace in Nik's. I'm trying to think back. I don't think there's lace on Nik's. But this one's for me, so I may just put like a few little lacy chunks and just put them on as like a tab, a ripped up lacy tab kind of thing. And I think that's what I'll do. So thanks for joining me today. I hope that was interesting for you. It seems that all I did was talk and take you on a tour. There probably won't be even any reason now to do a flip through when this book is done. Oh well, yeah, I'll probably do one anyways. So happy day after St. Patrick's Day to you all. And hubby and I are certainly going to, we're just celebrating at home here today. We're still keeping a close eye on our little patient, who's doing very, very well. And she wonderfully has no idea that she was even sick right now. We're the ones still feeding her tiny meals. And she's still on a prescription from the veterinarian. But if you asked her, she'd say, "What do you mean that something's wrong? Nothing's wrong," which is wonderful. What an advantage they have over us humans. Oh, there's my shamrock. So happy St. Paddy's Day. Take care. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk soon. Bye.